Okay, so when it came to music, I use a platform called Artlist. It allowed me to use licensed music in my film projects. It's a platform. Um, that was what I used for my music. I also reached out to different artists on SoundCloud and negotiated with them. So I found one song that really fit my film and reached out to a certain talent, asked if I could put his song in my film, which he was happy to hear. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And we just negotiated that deal out, and I use that in my feature. It's really important to pick out your music before you actually make the film and shoot your film in a way that the film works around the music. Reason being is because it'll make the music feel much more intentional, rather than picking out pre-created music and just layering it on your film.
Grave danger in my way. The river's rising, I'm not safe. Two strangers fight for strength. One I feed, the other way. Backbreaker, tough as chains. You took my blessings and my grace. Grave digger, forget my name. Don't you take my soul away. Don't you take my soul away.
So by doing this, editing it around the music, it feels like it was intentionally created for your film. It's just a better fit for your film. So when and if possible, try to do that, and it will make your music stand out more and work better for your feature film. Okay, let's talk about equipment. A lot of people will talk about equipment. What camera do you use? What lenses did you use? All that type of details. The truth is, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're shooting on an iPhone. It really doesn't matter if you're shooting on a GoPro. It doesn't matter. Will it give your film a different aesthetic? Yeah, it's just pick the right gear for your film. I used a GH5 for my film. I did it because I was going to be walking on uneven terrain, and the GH5 had the best stabilization. The GH5 had longer battery life. It didn't seem like it would overheat as easily. It also had higher capability. So if I was able to budget, like say a monitor and do, 4K 10-bit, on an external card, the option was there. But if not, well, it had other options available to me. Had different frame rates built into it. It was just an all-around camera that I felt was going to work for making a feature film for a low budget. Now, it still looked like video, it still looked like a DSLR. So I added some grain to my footage, and I made it look much more dirtied up than your average film would look. That way it would look different from everything else, but it also fit my film. My film was kind of a period piece, and it takes place in the early 90s, even though a lot of it is just in the woods and you never really see that. But I wanted it to have that feeling as much as possible. I wanted it to have this small town feel to the film. And so that's why it looks the way it does. I put a heavy grain on it in the editing, and that was my aesthetic choice. And I always wanted the film to have that. So it didn't really matter if I was going to shoot it on a red or anything, because I was going to mess up and dirty up the film footage anyway. So ask yourself, what type of film are you making, and what are you going to do with that footage, and how is it that your gear fits your film, not the other way around. So I can't stress that enough. Did I use stabilizers? Yeah. Did I use ND filters? Yes. Those things were helpful for me. But those things were not so much a necessity, but more so like a luxury. I even had a drone, and I never even used the drone in the entire film. It would have added production value, but I just never really got around to using it for certain scenes. And so it never actually made the cut into the actual feature film. It's just one of those details. I had to focus too much on the story and less about what special equipment I had access to and what cool shots I could pull off. That was not nearly as important. It's just focusing on the characters and the story themselves. A simple rule of thumb is that the cinematography that you want to have, whether it's handheld or, wide angled or all in one shot or whatever it is, the cinematography style you want to go with, and the conditions in which you're filming in, the weather conditions, the conditions of the terrain that you're filming in, the length of your shoot, the weather, how hot or cold it is. These are what should really dictate what type of gear you're going to use and how you're going to use it. That's really all it comes down to. When you're shooting your feature film, particularly a low budget feature film, you're going to run into some situations that you're just not going to be able to control. That would be something like rain. It rained on one of my most important scenes, and I was just going to have to adapt on the fly. Luckily, I had this pocket between some rain and no rain and then more rain. During that point of no rain, I actually shot the scenes that I needed to shoot before it started raining again. However, when it was raining, I actually shot some of my footage in the rain because I was like, well, this particular scene, I could rewrite it so that this scene takes place in the rain if necessary. And so I would shoot the same scene twice, once in the rain, once not in the rain. But luckily I got more time without the rain that I was able to actually shoot it the way it was supposed to be intended to be filmed. So you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to adapt to you're losing light, make a script change or rewrite whatever on the fly, especially if you only have certain locations or certain times. You're going to have to do that on a regular basis. When I filmed at the convenience store, there were certain scenes that took place during the day and some at night. But because we had to work around, people that were coming in and out of the convenience store, because the convenience store was actually running, I had to, film some of the scenes during the day, then film some of the scenes during the day outside, and then go back inside and film the night scenes, and then come outside and film the night scenes again. And I just had to keep on moving around to get all the shots that I needed to around all of the customers. So you just have to be as clever as possible. You have to be able to figure out what your situation and solution is to adapting on set. It wasn't written that way. It wasn't scheduled that way. We just had to make it happen that way because of issues that had come up outside of our control. I could write a book on directing, but let me explain the main job of a director. Some people think the job of a director is to work with the actors, or it's to direct the crew. You're not here to direct the actors or the crew. Yes, you do those things, but your true job is to direct the audience. And I'm not the one who even came up with that. Someone else said that, and I once heard it and thought, that's exactly it. You're creating a story, and everything that you create, you have to look at it from the perspective of the audience and how the audience is going to interpret your film. And so that's all you should really be thinking about as a director. Now, as a director, the main thing you're actually going to be doing more than anything is being a problem solver. That's all you're doing on set, is fixing one problem after another. This happened here, that happened there. What are we going to do about this? How are we going to handle this? What color is this? Where should we put this? What is this? Everyone's got questions, and sometimes there's nobody asking these questions but yourself if you're handling all of these different things. But whatever it is, it's some sort of problem, and you have to have be a overall problem solver. Now, don't think that you have to have a major ego, and don't think you have to have all the answers. That is I don't know who came up with that or what, but that's not what a real director does. Okay. So you don't have to have all the answers, just have all the solutions. And you know, things will come up. What I mean is out of your control, or things will come up that you don't even know how to handle it, but figure it out, figure out a way, figure out some sort of deal. Don't just give up. That would be absolutely ridiculous. You have to just overcome whatever issues that are going to pop up. On top of that, you can't have an ego about it. If someone else wants to have a suggestion or throws out an idea, be collaborative. You know, it's a film crew. It's a cast. You know what I mean? You want to make it a collaborative, enjoyable environment. But at the end of the day, you do have to make the final decision and be good with sticking with that decision. Because if something goes wrong, or if it doesn't play out the way it should have, or you wanted it to, they're not going to be around to take the blame. They're not going to be around to, be laughed at, or whatever the case may be. It's going to be on you. It's your name on that film, and you're the one that's going to get all the credit. You're also going to get all the criticism. So whatever it comes down to, just make sure you make the final decision. That way you can, at the end of the day, feel good by what choices you ended up deciding to go with.